I care about due process. I do think it's worth having a conversation about how should the U.S., how must the U.S. go about these things. It is also fascinating, however, and I saw this somewhere on the internet, how sometimes the internet has way better points than me, honestly, where these are all these people who bypassed the legal process to get here, but now they definitely want the legal process to play out by the letter of the law in order to get them to leave. Like, give me a break. But so all of that's going on. And it was just bothering me because we have all these other crises happening. And in Oregon, and it's the people going down there are in the states that most need them to be in their states working on their behalf. Like, there was a congressman down there from California. California's a hellhole. There's a congressman down there from Oregon. Oregon's a hellhole. The senator from Washington. Oh my gosh, this is a crisis. No, we've got some crises here that could really desperately use your attention. And then this happens. So we get a text from a state representative yesterday telling us about this. And I know that dumb stuff happens in Olympia, obviously. Make a whole show out of it. So I didn't quite believe the way that it was being told to us. I was like, yeah, they're crazy. But are they that crazy? And I looked and the answer is yes. So as they're coddling up to these illegal alien criminals, Democrats in Olympia just passed this, House Bill 1131. And it amends aspects of Washington State's pardons and commutations process. So essentially there's a board, it's like a clemency board, that will get requests from prison inmates for pardons or commutations, and those will go to the governor's desk, and some governors grant them, some don't, but they can at least review them, and that's a power that the governor has, and usually the route is through this clemency board. So they passed some changes to it. Near the bottom of the bill, like 15, 16, 17 pages, near the bottom of the bill, they passed this amendment. It says, if a petitioner indicates in the petition an urgent need for the pardon or commutation, including but not limited to a pending deportation order or deportation proceeding, the board shall consider expedited review of the application. In other words, they're moving criminal illegal aliens to the front of the line for pardons and commutations, because they think it will help stop them from getting deported from this country. So think about this. You've got people convicted of crimes, usually violent crimes, in our prison system. In Washington State, we don't really send non-violent offenders to prison. Hell, as we found out, sometimes we don't even send violent offenders to prison, like the guy who molested children, got 11 months, spent it in a county jail with credit for time served, and then got out and killed an elderly woman. So we definitely aren't sending people to prisons in the state of Washington for non-violent offenses. So to go there, you got to do something pretty bad. So we've got people in our prison system, most of them legal citizens of the United States who committed crimes. And then, of course, you have illegal aliens who committed crimes here. And as far as our system is concerned, the prisons don't even know that they're illegal. They're just like any other prisoner. They're just regular old Washingtonian who committed a crime, and that's because of our sanctuary laws. They essentially scrub systems for state agencies to even have the information available at their disposal to be able to call ICE if somebody wanted to and say, hey, we've got an illegal in here, come get him. They don't even know. And that's by design, right? Until they find out that ICE has put a order of deportation on someone or a detainer on someone or whatever it is. So Democrats want to try to prevent the deportation of convicted criminal illegal aliens by fast-tracking their requests for pardons and commutations ahead of even the other criminals that they're soft for, the actual legal American criminals. Now, not a big fan of commutations or pardons for just about anyone, as I wasn't for January 6th defendants either necessarily. But now you're saying, if you're in this country illegally and you committed a violent offense, we're putting you at the head of the line, even ahead of American criminals who might want pardons or commutations, so that you can avoid deportation, which I don't even think would help them avoid deportation. And then Democrats want to say, well, we just don't like that Trump is going around rounding up people who are just undocumented, and they're raising a family here, they're paying taxes, they're working hard, they're members of our community. That goes out the window with this, because the only purpose of this is to help people who are currently in a prison in Washington state and are also in the country illegally. That's mental. I mean, that's insane. And that passed. It passed the House and the Senate. So, I mean, as much as I talk about differentiating between the progressive Democrats, the socialist, and then the more moderate Democrats, they passed this thing. And it's heading to Governor Bob Ferguson's desk for his signature. Why on earth? Someone please, any Democrat who voted for this, open invitation on the show for why you believe it would be important to expedite pardons and commutations for people who are in our state illegally and committed a crime, likely a violent crime. So you're going out of your way now, to help keep them here after they get out of prison. I can't even wrap my mind around that level of insanity. So while they're coddling the illegal aliens, first of all, reject any notion that they just care about the people who aren't committing crimes and we don't want to go round up families. No, they also care about the illegal criminals, gang members. I mean, they're flying halfway across the world to go try to get an MS-13 gang member out of an El Salvadorian prison. So give me a break. That is wild. So, yeah, sometimes you just got to read it to believe it, because even though I got a text about it, I'm like, no, they probably didn't do that. Yep, sure did.